Did it pass the Netflix test for you? I never did Netflix.
No, did all
out of the box, right?
Oh yeah, no, all the streaming things.
Proprietary codecs enabled.
I think the only thing you have to do, which you always have to do in every time you install a browser, you have to enable the DRM thing as far as Firefox. That's actually nice. You didn't have to install anything. Just turn it on.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, because Fedora and openSUSE are like that, where I dread the first time setup because I'm gonna have to
and sometimes it takes a couple of times to get all the ones that you need because you got some of the you'll go install and you'll get some of the codecs and then you have to go back to the well. It seems like to get some of the other ones that you missed the next time you go to do something else, and it's just sort of annoying.
Coming up in this episode, helping one helps the other. A little off the beaten path, the history of GeckoLinux and our experience. What will we think of next? Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 4 of Linux User Space. I'm Leo.
And I'm Dan.
And we're a little late.
We are. But we made it. So I think that's the most important thing. We'll have to get the dust off of things and clear the cobwebs.
I actually did dust. I dusted right before because I hadn't sat at the desk. I dusted right before I sat down. So you're not joking.
Yeah, not kidding. Get the cobwebs cleared out and stuff. So I think we'll get back to it.
We're nice and rested. We're back in the swing of things. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. And we just do this to the end of the season. What are we? We're on episode 14.
Yeah.
So we got this one and six more. Yeah, because we go all the way to 20.
Yeah, we're almost to the second half of the second half.
Like all the people I try to talk to about subnetting, you can't forget the zero.
No.
The zero counts.
Yeah.
So there was something that we had found out almost exactly a day or so after we had finished recording the previous episode, which if you remember, come back in time with me.
Yeah.
This is not the history section, but it is a history section.
It's a history of sorts.
Yeah. So, go back in about a month with me and remember that we were talking about donating to various folks. And Dan, you had said
projects we thought we'd wanted to promote, and donate to. And so I had promoted FreshRSS because we use that every episode for sure. And in between every episode, not a daily, and for my job, I have things that I follow, feeds I follow there too. So I use it a lot, and I feel like it needs some, something payback somehow. Anyway, so fast forward a day or so, and I followed some of the internet rabbit hole of the origins of FreshRSS and the group.
As you do.
Yeah, and the group that's behind it is Framasoft. So Framasoft also is the group behind Peertube, which is another great project that we love. And, we host, we're now on TILvids, which is a Peertube instance, little special Peertube instance, but it's Peertube nonetheless.
So when is Framasoft coming out with their own Linux distribution so I can just get on that too? Because it seems like everything they do, I'm a fan of.
Yeah, so far, right? But you will probably need to study up on your French.
Hey, you know what?
They're from France, so
it's about time.
Some of their marketing and stuff is French, obviously.
Spoiler alert, I have a pair of French words in the history.
Okay.
Go figure.
Yeah, hang on for those. I'm this far away from Canada on the map.
Right.
To folks. So, but that doesn't mean I know French. I don't know a lot of French.
I was going to say, you're going to spark some kind of accent war pretty soon, so you be careful with that.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, Quebec is just up there just a little bit, and not too far, and it's very French speaking place. Although most places you can get around English, and it's true almost everywhere. English just kind of it's the universal thing.
What I need is some real actual poutine. I mean, I can fake it down here, but it's not the same.
No. It's not the same.
Okay, one of these days.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Okay, but Dan, I also hear you've been moonlighting. How dare you?
Dabbling a little.
We're supposed to be on GeckoLinux.
I was, and I did that. I kept it on the one laptop the entire time.
Yeah.
Didn't deviate there. But we had a little.
Let's just call it a fling.
We'll call it a side quest. I don't know.
Okay, side quest. I like that. That's a little better.
So
it's got a better connotation to it.
Well, I saw the new EndeavourOS release came out, Cassini, and I don't know. I just felt the need. I like we don't hop enough here. We hop every month.
I know.
Out loud.
Every month, 12 a year at okay. Wait, is it 10 a year
10,
at
10,
least?
Yeah, at least.
Oh man, yeah. Well, we got to throw a couple extra in there because
I don't know. It intrigued me, so I did. And then I saw that they had the new Worm window manager, and it's kind of new-ish. So I'm like, what's that all about? So I had to try it.
So is that what got you? Okay, so what was the killer feature of Cassini? Was it Worm that brought you over?
Well, that was the thing that lured me in. Yeah, I was like, I want to try this window manager. I've never tried that one before. I know there's 100 of them, but hey.
And they all manage Windows somehow.
They do. And I'll say this about Worm. It's not something that I'm probably ever going to go back to, but at least I know what it's about now. And it's not terrible. It's just very basic when it comes to
the next
window
challenge
managers.
Then is going to be the Worm challenge, and I'm going to make you go back and do it again, specifically because you said you didn't want to.
I mean, it could.
I'm really good at that.
Like, it's not terrible. I could buy on it. It's okay. It just seems very basic, and that's fine. Like, if it was your first window manager, and it wouldn't be terrible.
But you've tasted the fruit of awesome WM, and you're like,
or just like anything. Like i3 is pretty great. Like, the real shining thing with most of those window managers is the integration of the shortcut keys or the hotkeys, whatever, right? And Worm is a little more basic. It's kind of a Unix philosophy where you need a different tool to do the key binding stuff. And so, I mean, it's just like you just kind of add on these little things, and eventually you get Worm window manager. This is the best way I can describe this.
Okay.
So,
I'm intrigued though. Now I feel like I have to go see what this is all about. That's
by default the Endeavour they give you it's floating windows, not tiling. You can change it to tiling. There's all that, all that stuff's there still, but so as far as someone that's new to it, it's not terrible because you can still use your mouse. They have window, title bars and stuff, so you can close, and you don't have to remember the key bindings for that. And
okay, that's okay. I like that though.
It's a nice entry into it, and like I said, it's real simple.
Maybe that's the window manager I needed. To introduce me to other window managers, because it always seemed like it just slapped you in the face and was overwhelming.
Sure. Yeah, I can picture that. But if you're into tiling, which is kind of some of the goal I have probably on my little laptop, is so that I can, get things, tiled up nicely and stuff.
Make the best use
of the small real estate I have.
Right.
It still works. It works good. It works well. So Worm is X,
Okay.
Xorg. It's not Wayland. So
yeah, I mean,
i3 is the Xorg thing, and Sway is supposedly the Wayland thing. So
yeah, you're preaching to the choir, man. I'm still on Linux Mint Cinnamon, which is X only at the moment.
Right.
So I'm fine with that.
It's fine. It's just like you got to know these things going into it. So
yeah, definitely.
Anyway, it wasn't a bad experiment. It was good. I don't know. Probably choose something else next time.
Yeah. Well, I guess. I'm not innocent here.
No, you had a little side quest too.
Listen, the thing that so to preface this, right? Like I've been waiting for EndeavourOS for a while, and Danielle came out and said, "Hey, do y'all just want like a little update for December, or do you want me to wait and do the whole thing?" And I mean, overwhelmingly, it was just wait. I'll wait.
Just get it ready. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I suppose maybe this month. I'm hoping this month. But anyway, because I've been waiting for EndeavourOS, I've been kind of in flux with what I want to live permanently on the framework. I mean, spoiler alert, it's probably still going to be Mint, but there is a chance that Elementary may take me over because I use a lot of Mac at work, and it just kind of fits, right? The paradigm is very similar on one and the other.
It's not exactly the same, but similar, yeah.
Right. So by the way, side quest, Albert. I have fallen in love with Albert, which is extremely similar to the Spotlight, I believe it's called, in macOS, where you just push the button and search for what you want.
It's
K-Runner.
Like Rofi.
Yeah.
So
Rofi and K-Runner.
Little side note there, too. Rofi was in Worm, and it looks nice. They got a good theme on that, right? So it's very Endeavour looking, if you will. So it's cool.
Right.
Anyway.
Side quest.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. So back to the side quest. Albert, fantastic, and I've been falling in love with it. I've added it to Mint, and it integrates in fantastically. And I don't think I've opened the Mint menu in like 2 weeks or something.
Cool.
I love it. It's absolutely fantastic. Anyway, so back to the side quest, the pre-side quest, which was EndeavourOS. I've been wanting something to try out, and VanillaOS just comes in all pretty and gets me all excited. And they have this welcome thing that helps you set everything up, and it's just absolutely fantastic. The experience, the desktop experience, is GNOME, obviously,
sure,
but with additional pretty. That not like extensions, but just additional applications that are built in libadwaita, I think.
Yeah, so GTK4 type things,
right?
Yeah.
And things just look and move and feel, and the defaults are absolutely fantastic. The other thing that got me though was you don't see a whole lot of distros going out there saying, "Hey, we're a distro, and we want to enable you to be able to install stuff from the Ubuntu repositories."
Right.
Well, it's Ubuntu based, so you're like, okay,
sure.
Keep going. And they say, well, the Fedora repositories too. And then you start getting intrigued. And then they say, the Alpine repositories too. And I'm like, Alpine? Why? But okay. and then they drop it on you. Oh yeah, just also the AUR. Oh, what now?
Yeah, right. That's like
a what?
So every repository ever when you combine them all.
Yeah,
like all the software.
Right, but then they're also like, we'll make it easy to sideload too. So if you got a deb, whatever, just just throw it in there. But we'll call it APX. It's all using Podman containers and then installing these softwares inside the containers and then running the containers natively on your desktop. I mean, easy.
Cool.
But, besides the technical stuff, just being able to run software from any of those repositories is fantastic. And if you can figure out the APX syntax, which is fairly similar, if you know how to use apt, you can use APX.
Right.
It is above and beyond any expectation I ever had for any distribution on an Ubuntu base. I'll say that.
It's a neat concept. It's like, like DistroBox is like becoming kind of popular too.
Right. So you're getting near, if not native performance. Oh.
Yeah, I know.
Oh man. So that got me going. The pretty and anything you want.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I want out of a distro, right? Be pretty
Pretty
and
much.
let me do whatever I want.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's quite ready.
Yeah. That's.
I don't think I ever actually got APX to work. Like I got immediately after, --DNF because I was looking for BTOP or something. I forgot what I was looking for, but
just trying
it was
stuff
like warning.
out.
Yeah, it was like warning,
Oof.
and then setting it up, and then warning, and then it was like we didn't do it. And I was like, all right, well, maybe that's because I clicked a button in the GUI that had to do with that particular container. All right, we'll try the AUR. So Fresh not doing anything. And by the way, I probably could have read the instructions. I'm sure there were instructions out there, but I'm not that kind
who
of guy.
does that?
Right. So I tried something from the AUR. It started to build, and it was like, boom, just like a whole entire page of errors and stuff. So it didn't go. So then eventually I tried everything from every repository, and I couldn't get anything. So, and finally, I was like, well, fine, I'll just sideload Discord then. That didn't work either.
No.
Yeah. So I am still extremely excited about this distro.
Yeah, the concept sounds great.
Yeah, once APX works, at least to my liking, and I guess I would suppose without having to read a huge manual. You know what? I think at this point I'd be okay to read the manual, but I need to dive back in and try again. But that might be the one.
Yeah.
If you're gonna tear me away from Cinnamon and replace it with something like GNOME, it's gonna be because you give me every software repository in the Linux world.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. So
it's a good way.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, so it looks like something to watch.
It's got to get a couple of years under its belt before it makes it to the history section. But
because
there's a good chance we'll end up doing it one of those days, and there might be a good chance where I'll just be like, I didn't run it for a month, I ran it for a year because it's my daily driver, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Very possible. Very possible. So anyway, side quests out of the way. I guess we should probably get on to the actual quest.
Yeah.
Which is the GeckoLinux History, huh? But first,
hey, give us a sub on YouTube and now TILvids because you want to see our face. You can see us, wave and smile and stuff.
And we do a lot of that. I talk a lot with my hands, and you don't really see. You can't see that.
Yeah,
I
do the same.
The podcast. Maybe you feel it. I don't know. Maybe the air
I try not to hit my microphone, but maybe I've done that a few times as well. So, I'm a little thud here and there. Yeah, that's probably me.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely join us over there. Subscribe, ding the little bell so that you get all the notifications and stuff. So when a new episode comes out.
The websites we're talking about, the bits in history, they just scroll on by.
Yep. And
as we're talking.
There's titles at the top and the bottom and little scrolling things. And you're missing out if you're not watching the videos.
Yeah. There are a few things that you just don't get in the podcast.
Yeah. And speaking of video, you can catch us on Twitch live the day after an episode drops. We do a little live thing. You can join our Discord and we can have a little chat. And, hopefully we get some ideas that come out of that for the next episode or other episodes. Or if not, we just have a conversation. Sometimes talk about food and stuff.
That's exactly. Not just a conversation, specifically a conversation about food and how it is not the same everywhere
it is not.
Around the world.
No.
But banana pudding.
Banana pudding.
Yeah. That doesn't exist everywhere.
It does not.
Because Nilla wafers don't exist everywhere.
No, they don't exist everywhere either. No.
Yeah, you'd hear about it.
Biscuits.
On the live stream.
Maybe you'd call them a biscuit in some places.
Right. That's where the disconnect is. But we wouldn't know about that if we didn't watch the live stream. The spark. The one you get when you stumble across that thing that has a large impact on your life, only you don't really know it at the time. Well, one of those sparks happened while Sam was browsing a used book sale in 2001. He picked up a copy of SUSE 6, including the manual, and took it home. After installing and getting to know the new system, it was obvious. SUSE felt like a professional product. And at the time, That's some very high praise. Fast forward to late 2003 when the SUSE Linux company, brand and trademarks, were purchased by Novell. Whether or not it was the intent from the outset is unclear, but over the next couple of years, Novell opened up the insider-only development process, making SUSE accessible to everyone. This point becomes very relevant to our distro du jour later on. Then in August of 2005, Novell announced a new project, openSUSE. And in October, the project put out its very first stable release, SUSE Linux 10. Not long after, Sam picks up a SUSE Linux 10 installer disk from a CD vendor online, which may or may not have been faster than just downloading it. It was 2005 after all.
Yeah.
For Sam, besides the professional quality, SUSE had the additional perk of being the only distribution to support his modem and sound card. But while compatibility and YAST, the built-in administration tool, checked every box, the rest of the system, like defaults and overall bloat, weren't hitting it out of the park. It doesn't take a kernel hacker to guess what happened next. Yeah, distro hopping. For a decade. During that distro-filled 10-year journey, the openSUSE project matured, and in the mid-2010s started to cultivate their new, stable, leap, and fast-moving tumbleweed branches into reliable distributions. After taking the time again to distro hop back to openSUSE, we won't say how many times exactly, Sam found that this paradigm suited him fine. Something for the server, something for the laptop. And always one to see things through the eyes of a new user, it was Sam's experience that other people, especially Linux beginners, even after 10 years, were having the same old problems they've always had understanding things like PPAs, RPM Fusion, and Pacman, with a K. And these types of things are a must, unless your wants and needs are fairly vanilla. On top of that frustration, openSUSE doesn't always compile system packages in a way that allows usage of proprietary additions among a few other annoyances. This, Sam thought, kept the default installation from being ready out of the box. With the guidance of SUSE Studio's web configuration service, Sam could fix those things. Adjust and tinker as necessary to drastically reduce the amount of frustration during the first-time setup, and pave the way for the proprietary bits that many Linux users rely on every day. Even better, it let you create an installation image and distribute it too. So that's exactly what happened. Sam started producing installation ISOs. The new ISOs got a name, GeckoLinux, all one word. And on the 13th of November, 2015, the first ever GeckoLinux 421.15.11.13.6 was announced. It came with the Cinnamon desktop, a live mode proprietary codecs, and much better font rendering. Oh, and that long version number? It means something. The 421 means it's based on openSUSE Leap 42.1. The 15, 11, and 13 is the date in year, month, day. And the final .6 is how many revisions. It was a few. Sam built GeckoLinux from the outset knowing full well one-man distros like GeckoLinux have a single point of failure. A bus factor, if you will. He's not even a fan of one-man distros himself, especially after being burned by them. But for users of GeckoLinux, there's nothing to worry about. Under the hood, GeckoLinux is just openSUSE with a facelift. No modified packages here. Simply configurable choices using packages from upstream openSUSE and a few Pacman repositories. These would exist with or without GeckoLinux. In December, alongside Cinnamon, XFCE, Gnome, and Budgie were added to the desktop lineup, as well as a BareBones edition to give more control to the user. And a few days later, Plasma, Mate, and LXQT get their first ISOs too. And in June of 2016, the first rolling editions of GeckoLinux appear, keeping pace with upstream tumbleweed. It's the same GeckoLinux configurations and editions, but now in the fast lane. In November of the same year, the next edition was announced. Its purpose? To have both the stability of Leap as a base, but add on newer desktop packages like in Tumbleweed. This was done by adding open build system repositories that had current versions of the user's preferred desktop. Plasma was first up. Also, while SUSE Studio would allow ISO downloads directly from the Studio site, it wasn't fast enough for the growing distribution, so images were moved over to SourceForge. openSUSE, by the way, weren't slowing down. They had released 42.2 in November, and by mid-December, the first static edition ISOs of GeckoLinux based on the new release. By February of 2017, the Plasma Next edition was released on 42.2 as well. And in July, openSUSE released 42.3. But something was changing in the background. 42.3 wasn't available within SUSE Studio, and after a few months, openSUSE announced why. SUSE Studio Online would be merging with Open Build Service to form SUSE Studio Express, and would be the only way to spin new ISOs based on openSUSE Leap 42.3. The ISO releases that were, up until now, somewhat regular, slowed down. It would be almost an entire year before Sam got up to speed with Kiwi, the new build system he needed to use to roll these ISOs and get an ISO out the door. But in January of 2018, the static and next editions were finally ready, based on 42.3. Overall, the issue was a small one, at least as far as the users were concerned. The rolling editions kept rolling, and the static editions, as long as you were already on the 42.2 base, simply kept getting updates too. But what didn't lurch forward was the Budgie desktop. There just wasn't a maintainer keeping up with Budgie during the 42.3 release cycle, so it was put on ice for a while. In May, openSUSE Leap 15.0 released, and in early June, with Kiwi experience already earned, GeckoLinux followed. From this point, release information lived mainly in GitHub releases rather than the website itself. It was just simpler this way. In May of 2019, openSUSE Leap 15.1 was released, and in July of 2022, 15.2 was released as well, but with no new GeckoLinux releases. But through the magic of openSUSE Leap and Tumbleweed, the static and rolling editions of GeckoLinux could still stay up to date. It's the folks trying to install fresh that might suffer if they had fairly new hardware. Still, in July, that all changed a couple weeks later when GeckoLinux released new static ISOs based on 15.2. But it had an incorrect URL for an NVIDIA repository forcing a new ISO. But alongside a new static ISO revision came the Plasma Next update and the rolling edition refresh. In September, Pantheon is the first newly added desktop in quite a while in both Pantheon Rolling and Next editions. And the Budgie Rolling and Next editions make a return as well, thanks to the new Budgie maintainer. In April 2021, a vote for which default file system GeckoLinux Rolling should use was held, with ButterFS winning. And in May, the same vote, but for the static edition was held. Again, ButterFS won. Still in May, after a small snag with GPT partition creation, the rolling editions were released with the ButterFS change, as well as ZRAM and the early daemon enabled. And after the release of openSUSE Leap 15.3 in early June, less than a week later, Gecko Static, based on it, was released, and with it, the fruits of the vote. LZO transparent compression by default, Snapper configured, ZRAM, and early as well. Around this time, Pantheon maintainership wavered, same as Budgie back in 2020. But a new maintainer was quickly found to take over, and new rolling and static editions released based on it in early 2022. After the package maintainership issues were resolved, new problems for the static release arose. In April, the openSUSE team was already talking about the inevitable release of Leap 15.5, the new adaptable Linux platform, and how resources are not unlimited. This meant, beyond Leap 15.5, Leap, as it is, will no longer exist. Luboš Kotzman said, "The plan is that the next community enterprise distribution, Leap, will be ALP itself, as it will be developed open or closely based on ALP. I believe it makes sense to steer community effort there as it pays off in the long run." In the interim, on the 8th of June, openSUSE Leap 15.4 released, and while slightly longer than normal, GeckoLinux followed up with static ISOs 2 months later in August. In the release announcement, Sam noted that users of the GeckoLinux static edition should be aware that SUSE will be replacing openSUSE Leap after version 15.5 with a radically different Linux product currently in early development as ALP. So unless something changes, current openSUSE Leap installations, and by extension GeckoLinux static installations, will no longer be supported a few years from now. As Sam said, it doesn't mean much right now, since Leap 15.4 is supported until late 2023 and 15.5 until sometime in 2024, but that doesn't mean Sam is just running out the clock. Enter Spiral Linux. All of the conveniences of GeckoLinux static, but based on Debian instead. Because, well, Debian is Debian, and their release model is predictable. That also means that it carries the bus factor considerations. Spiral Linux is just Debian with tweaks, the same as GeckoLinux is openSUSE with tweaks. Without Sam, the installations will continue to exist purely on the shoulders of Debian and openSUSE without user interaction. There hadn't been a release in 2023 just yet, but as far as we can tell, Sam never wavered in his mission to improve openSUSE and has done a bang-up job since GeckoLinux's inception. Tumbleweed-based rolling edition will keep rolling, but the Leap-based static edition without some serious changes in openSUSE's trajectory may not exist in the future. And before we close out the history, I just want to give a big thank you to Sam, the GeckoLinux founder, for enduring our question bombardment. I do have to say, the answers that he gave to the questions that we asked were above and beyond all expectation for level of detail.
I agree.
The story that we wove, I just would not have existed without the level of detail that he added. So sincerely, thank you,
yes,
Sam, for all the effort that you put into, I guess, all of your communication between you and us. I really, really appreciate it.
Yep.
Wouldn't have been the same without it.
If you want to catch some of the great topics as they unfold, join our subreddit or our news channel over on Discord.
We were talking about FreshRSS.
Yeah.
All that news, that's where it comes from.
Yeah, we kind of
FreshRSS is the aggregator that just splashes it into both of our faces, and then we curate.
Yeah, we curate
and
it.
then bestow it upon you.
We take the fire hose right to the face, and then we curate.
No joke either.
We curate that and give you the ones that really matter for you, and Linux user space. So
drinking from the fire hose. You know what we need, Dan, because you don't have enough jobs.
Okay.
we need a site that like just mirrors the Discord, so you could just go to like linuxuserspace.show/news. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it could just redirect you to Reddit. I mean, that could be the thing, because that's really what Reddit does. But you know how, like, okay, so I see these aggregator websites.
Yeah.
I mean, we basically do that already. We do all the heavy lifting by getting it all together. You know what? Don't let me talk you into doing something else. You already do enough. But
I can easily do a redirect, so you consider that one done.
Okay, all right, redirect for sure.
we have a whole bunch of other redirects too. So, we got our subreddit, we've got Discord, Mastodon, Telegram, Matrix, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, TILvids, you name it.
There's tons. Don't even tell them all. I think what needs to happen is there's a game now where you just type in linuxuserspace.show/ the thing you think we have, and it may or may not work. And if it doesn't work, well, then now you got to tell us we need that thing.
Yeah.
Because you expect us to be there and we're not there. So, challenge time.
Oh, OnlyFans, Leo. OnlyFans.
But that one exists. Speaking of Sam and the overabundance of just good information that he was able to give us, there are a couple of things that I wanted to just bring to the forefront that we didn't add to the history, but I wanted to talk about. So he had mentioned that the first GeckoLinux spin was based off openSUSE Sleep 42.1, which was in the history, but that it had the Cinnamon desktop. And we know that. It's the last little bit that I just want to really highlight because he says, which I still prefer to this day.
Yeah.
Man after my own heart, I just got to say.
Yeah, so it's definitely getting some attention, if nothing else. Yeah.
Ooh, yes, please. I mean, if you're in the market for something that vaguely resembles Windows 7, I mean, Cinnamon's your guy. Cinnamon's the one. And it does it as a matter of fact, they just implemented the whole put your mouse cursor down in the bottom right and then it shows the desktop thing. Like that was in 21 dot what, I don't know, whatever. I don't even know what the version is. But Vera came with that. And just more and more like what I think people are sad to leave.
Oh, for sure.
Now that both 7 and 8 are just done now.
Right.
Like done.
Right.
As in Microsoft made another announcement and was like, we're done with all that.
Yeah, they are.
So if you want it, that's Cinnamon. It's still good. It's fantastic. And it's getting better every release. That might be the fanboy in me. I don't know. But
that's
either way,
fair.
it's good desktop. He also mentions that, and something that I think we kind of make clear in the history, but he says, technically, GeckoLinux is not even a distro.
Yeah.
It's just a spin. So once installed, it is essentially a legitimate openSUSE installation, and GeckoLinux is just an alternative installation and configuration method to get there. I want to point that out and highlight it and say it again and again and again and again, because in the history, we specifically mentioned the word distro plenty of times. But, GeckoLinux is just openSUSE with flavor.
Sam makes no bones about it. It's not intentionally a whole bunch of flavor. Just basically taking the configurations that are possible with openSUSE and, applying them, not going out and, like he says, I'm not going to brand things or come up with my own artwork or any of that stuff.
Right.
Intentionally to keep it simple and I'll more or less allow for the continuation no matter what.
And I think that's probably the biggest thing, right? I mean, as we mentioned in the history, he's been burned by the one-man distros before. Once they leave, then it's just gone.
Right.
And you've got to do a bunch of user intervention to be able to, either hop onto another train that is similar to what you were on before, or nuke and pave and start all the way over with something else.
Right.
That is what I think, and I think that's probably my favorite thing about GeckoLinux is that it's not that. And I said bus factor at least twice, because if Sam were gone, then your installation just keeps trucking on. You don't need the installer disks after the first time to upgrade with or anything like that. There are instructions on the wiki specifically telling you how to jump from, if you're on static, one version to the next, or if you're on rolling, you don't do anything.
No, you just update.
You just keep rolling, and you get those configurations that you started with, and you just get to enjoy them forever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, while you might not see new ISOs, it could still continue as long as you keep your hardware intact, basically.
Right. And in the later versions, you get ButterFS and Snapper and all these snapshots and things like that prevent you from, even if you make a mistake, a big mistake, you can still roll back and have the same distribution that you've loved the entire time. I mean, surely there will be a point where there are some incompatibilities years down the road or something like that. But I mean, what distro that just up and vanishes one day gives you that kind of runway?
There aren't many.
None.
Like very few. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I'm going to say none specifically so that someone can come back and tell me why I'm wrong. Because I don't know any.
Yeah.
You know any off the top of your head?
I think I want to say when EndeavourOS ended, they gave you instructions on how to get to
instructions though. Yeah. But you had to intervene.
You had to do something. Yes, you did. Mm-hmm. Yes, you did. You're right. So but I think you didn't have to reinstall. You could get to a new. Okay. You could get back to Arch. Basically, is what the instructions did for you. Equally, I want to say like Alma. I mean, this isn't really desktop Linux per se. Yeah, I know Alma and like Rocky have both created scripts. You got to do something, like you said, but you could convert your old CentOS into Alma or Rocky with their scripts that you run one time, and then you're on to the next thing. So, but beyond that, you can't just keep going with where you are, because you're going to get to the roadblock, the end gate, if you will. Nobody's got that.
I think GeckoLinux is closer to openSUSE than those distros.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's admirable just how little he did, I guess.
Like I said, he just applied configurations that are available to you. Like you could take openSUSE and do the same things, and
exactly.
You don't need to install anything extra per se.
And that's what makes it valuable, because at the end of the day, it is just openSUSE.
Yep.
So if you wanted it to be that way, it could be. So I absolutely love that about it. But anyway, I want to recap. Mm-hmm. We talked about 3 different editions: the static edition, where you've got Cinnamon, XFCE, Gnome, Plasma, Mate, Budgie, LXQT, and a BareBones edition that you can kind of customize yourself. There's and that one keeps pace with Leap. However, after 15.5, that's probably not going to be the case.
Yeah, based on the openSUSE announcements. Yeah,
right. We're not to that release just yet, so we're not 100% positive how this is going to shake out. But writing's on the wall. Things are changing. Yeah. So we can guess.
Right.
The rolling edition has Cinnamon, XFCE, Gnome, Plasma, Mate, LXQT, Budgie, Pantheon, and a BareBones edition as well. And the next edition now, so rolling is on Tumbleweed.
Right.
What you see is what you get. It's just a rolling distro. Right. But then you have the next edition, which is somewhere in between. It doesn't have any Tumbleweed stuff. It just kind of feels a little tumbleweedy, because the next editions have the Plasma and Pantheon desktops pulling the newer versions from OBS.
Right.
So you have the Leap underpinning, where it's nice and stable, doesn't change, but yet the desktop does, and this just very much reminiscent of Kubuntu.
Yeah.
With
backwards PPA.
Yes, that's it. That's what next screams at me when I hear what this is. Mm-hmm. And it's Plasma, so like very much Kubuntu.
Pretty great, yeah.
And my only regret over the month and a half that we were doing this is that I did not do Pantheon. I've been waiting for Elementary OS. How could I have missed the opportunity to do Pantheon? So I might just dive back in and do it, because
there's always room for another side quest.
I mean, look, we've each had our own side quest. Why not just make it 3? 3's a lucky number to somebody.
Sure.
Maybe their luck will rub off on me, and 3 will mean something eventually, I guess. I don't know. But all GeckoLinux editions come with ButterFS sub-volume support, Z standard compression, automatic snapshots that are bootable via Grub.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's a lot. Fantastic font rendering out of the box. Yes, please. TLP pre-installed. I kind of have a laptop. Having VM tools ready to go. It's just, yes.
Yep.
Having Pac-Man repositories available out of the box, so you can get the proprietary codecs, meaning Plex and Netflix and everything else just work out of the box. Something that openSUSE can't say for sure. And of course, no bus factor. It isn't a concern. I love it.
It is good.
I absolutely just love it. So good.
And I know there's something else there, not for you or I, Leo, but the other repository that's there is the Google Chrome repository. So if Chrome's your thing, you can get that too.
I may or may not have neglected to mention that because I don't like Chrome.
I don't like Chrome either. But, hey,
maybe.
Some people do, and they like their Chrome, so that's fine.
And they can have it.
It's easy to get. Yep, no work. So, I mean, that brings us to, how it went, I guess, right? So, for me, I know we said they don't add a lot of flavor, but the things they do add as flavor seem pretty fantastic, I gotta say.
Yeah.
So, normally you install openSUSE, you're using, their installer. The difference here is they're using Calamares, right? And
true.
That's nice and simple, and it's easy, and it's familiar with people.
That is one thing I will say. The openSUSE, when I installed openSUSE Tumbleweed the few times that I have, it gets
the job done.
It gets the job done, but it can become extremely overwhelming.
Yeah.
With the amount of options that you have, with the amount of questions that there are, with the amount of things that you have to do, with the amount of
it's a little daunting for the new person.
Things. Right, like what's funny is I hear a lot of people talk about how Fedora and the CentOS installer are actually pretty not great.
Yep.
You know what I never hear about? openSUSE, and I would put that on the same difficulty level.
Yep, yeah, it's similar.
It's a little more linear. I think that's why they get away with it.
Yeah. So you mentioned Fedora and you mentioned openSUSE installers being a little difficult, very similar. They're both working on a new installer. By the way, and so that's like coming. I mean, but like until then, Calamares is a very nice, simple installer for people to follow.
Yeah, I was going to say, Sam fixed it. So
yeah, he did. I mean,
with already existing software.
So that's cool.
I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one of the flavor touches that he does add that I think is kind of top notch. Really,
very nice.
And so, and like we mentioned, the repositories and the fact that they're added out of the box too. That's kind of one of those quality of life things that just makes it pretty usable. I mean, akin to
you go and do it anyway. Like on any Fedora machine, you install RPM Fusion.
Yep.
In any Ubuntu machine, there's a good chance you add a PPA.
Yep.
And in every openSUSE installation, you're probably dealing with OBS or Pac-Man.
Yep.
At least a little.
Yeah. And so, like, I know he said it's not a distro, but like, Mint's a distro over Ubuntu, but like it came about for some of the same reasons that Mint came about. So I feel like it's got a, similarity, I guess, if you will, to the way Mint works, in that it became because they're solving some of those quality of life issues for people. And just getting that done out of the box, the proprietary things, all that stuff. I mean, it's
Sam called them paper cuts, and this heals them.
I
didn't really find myself wanting for really anything after getting it installed. I mean, you have to get used to the way that openSUSE does things, but. But that's not really a Sam job.
Right.
That's more just
getting used to
openSUSE is a little different than other distros. So once you get used to that, though, you realize the real utility in the configurations that are added on. I mean, the Netflix test.
Yeah. I I need some entertainment in the evening. I need at least some background entertainment while I'm doing these things. So
yeah. It's extremely important to have that stuff. When I double click on a video that I pulled from an iPhone or something, and it plays, I'm kind of genuinely surprised in some of these freer type distros. Right. So
and I know that's not for everybody.
Surprising.
That's fine. Like, if you don't want to have the proprietary things, that's okie dokie. No problem with that. But for the pragmatic user that doesn't really know any different, has always been using these things, they just want it to work.
Yep. Pragmatism is the word. Just make it work, man.
Yep.
Just make it work. And this hits the nail on the head.
And so I applaud the simplicity in which all of that is achieved. There's not a lot of effort, like Sam says. Like, it's just easy in a way, because it's not so complex, and so that makes it super sustainable.
Between Studio, openSUSE Studio, and openSUSE Studio Express, and Kiwi, and all of these things, it's made possible. And I mean, to me, from someone that's never done it before, right? So, I'm not talking from any kind of experience or anything like that. It just seems like, had I got into it about the same time, I think openSUSE is probably the only way that you would have been able to do it.
Yeah, potentially.
Without having a huge amount of knowledge coming into it.
So that's just hats off to openSUSE. I mean, they give you a lot of tools to make your things. Like, they have the open build system, and they've always been that way, I feel like, to be able to create your own destiny, if you will. But like, open build system is like huge. It's beyond just openSUSE. You can build packages for any distribution, really, which is amazing. I know we talked about it when we talked about openSUSE way back, season 1.
Way back,
season 1?
Yeah,
I think
season 1.
Wow, that's a long time ago.
Been a while.
And just how unique that is, and what a great tool that is for a lot of developers beyond openSUSE. So the other thing is, I think meeting the cadence that he does, that's also the hard part, right? It's just always doing stuff, like never taking a break. And you and I both know, even though we took a little mini break here recently, that's tiring at times, trying to meet the schedules and stuff. So
right. Not that it requires no skill. I mean, quite the opposite. But it does sound like once you kind of get it all set up, all you really got to do is just a little bit of maintenance here and there to pump out a new ISO or whatever. But he did make the point that he didn't really have to. You can take some of even the older distributions that the older versions of GeckoLinux, and still quite easily get them up to current. So so this explains why there's that year gap where there was nothing coming out. The only people that would have suffered in a case like that would be the people that just bought a new laptop, and that's not in the kernel of the ISO that was rolled that is available to you right now. But outside of that, you're still running on my ThinkPad over here in 2018 or something like that. Then whatever.
Yeah, you're good.
Use the same ISO, upgrade, and you're done. It's current. You're good.
Yeah. So I had a good experience. I mean, obviously, since it's close to openSUSE, that you get all the greatness of that.
Yeah. It's the green Fedora, or is Fedora the blue openSUSE?
That's a good question. I don't know. But like I picked Plasma. Plasma is kind of one of my favorites.
I can't not choose the blur. Dan. I did Plasma
so that was
too.
Great. And another little side quest that I had that I didn't tell you about yet. I have now found my favorite theme.
What is it?
Cappuccin Macchiato.
What's hold on? How do you what?
Cappuccin Macchiato.
Is this very coffee colored?
Yeah, but like the purples and the pinks and stuff.
Oh, okay. Hold up. You're
not
about
like
to
Dracula,
change my
not
world.
dark like Dracula. A little lighter than that. So
Okay, because I'm a Dracula fan.
I know.
That's where I'm at. But okay, how do you spell a cappuccin?
Cat, C-A-T, Puccin, P-U-C-C-I-N, Catppuccin.
Okay.
I'll have a
And
link
then
in the show notes because like
No,
they
but I
have
need to look at
themes
this
for
now.
everything. Like almost every desktop.
Catppuccin.
Catppuccin.
I love the pastels already. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
And so,
and there's everything. Like it's like Dracula with
Telegram's got a theme. Oh man, I can go on for days about this.
Oh goodness. And then then there's separate. Macchiato. I see it. So there's a latte, there's a frappe, there's a macchiato, and there's a mocha.
Mocha. Yeah.
Oh, good.
So macchiato is probably my favorite. Anyway, so yeah, like I can install that easily in Plasma because that's one of the places where you can install that. And
get out of here. This is right up my alley. This is
super duper nice, and it looks super duper nice in my console and in my Dolphin and all of those places. So that was one of my side quests here in Gecko. So I did my own theming. I didn't need to rely on someone else to provide that for me. And so that gave me the blank slate to do that.
Well, full disclosure, I had another side quest.
See, we're bad.
Why do we do these things, Dan? I don't know.
Dodo.
Ghostwriter.
Oh, yeah. We had talked about that. Yeah.
Yes. Because I had brought up apostrophe in an app focus quite a few episodes ago. But then we did Plasma for GeckoLinux. I was musing about, well, is there an apostrophe that is based on Qt that is simplistic and all it does is let you write? The answer is yes.
Yep.
And the answer to the yes is Ghostwriter.
Yep.
So just an absolute, hands down, fairly distraction-free, and that's really what I was looking for, distraction-free.
Yeah.
Writing platform that just let me write and see the fruits of my labor in Markdown on the left and preview on the right. Or, you don't have to do that.
Yeah, you can turn that off too. Yeah, the preview thing, you can turn that off.
However you like it. And I just could not believe that, Plasma Qt, that side of things tends to have a reputation for having 7 gajillion different configuration options.
Sure.
But not Ghostwriter. There are some configuration options.
It's pretty simple though.
But yeah, it is. If I'm on Plasma and I'm itching for apostrophe, I think I'll probably reach for Ghostwriter because it integrates a little bit better.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then on the GTK side, or the Advait side, obviously it'll be apostrophe. But if we had an app focus this episode, it's quite likely that Ghostwriter would have made it, just because I enjoyed it so much.
That's
I wrote the vast majority of the history and the research and keeping track of all that stuff in Ghostwriter.
Nice.
So it's certainly something that if you're on the Qt side of stuff and you're looking for something simple, you should do that. You should grab that. And by the way, it's just in the openSUSE repositories, which was another reason why I was able to just hop on it and use it and not have to do anything special. It's just there.
Yeah,
so,
there's a lot in the openSUSE, repositories. I didn't find myself wanting much there.
It surprised me a lot, like the Arch community repo, where it's like, "Oh, Discord's in here? What?" So openSUSE didn't have the Discord, but still, it was kind of just surprising that there's so much in there that you really don't have to go outside of those repositories too terribly much. No.
So to sum it all up, if next time I think I'm gonna look for something openSUSE, I might go Gecko.
I'm gonna one up you on that. I don't think I'll ever, as long as GeckoLinux exists, I don't think I'll ever install openSUSE Tumbleweed again. It will be GeckoLinux rolling, because all the things that are default in GeckoLinux are the kinds of things that I love. So why would I put myself through having to do it all manually by installing openSUSE Tumbleweed when it's just right there, right for the picking.
Ready to go.
To just use it. Yeah. Yep. 100%. GeckoLinux all day long. If you're on Team Green, I think GeckoLinux is where you need to be.
It's a good spot. Another great spot is linuxuserspace.show, because that's where you can get all the links to all our things. And if you need to get a hold of us, because like you want to give us some feedback or you want to, suggest something, you can do that at the contact at linuxuserspace.show. And that'll get to us.
Is that new email thing they invented?
It's that distributed email thing, it's like a Fediverse but older.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. I heard email was federated. Interesting.
So
okay, I like that.
We're there, and you can give us some feedback. You can give us feedback anywhere else too, and we'll probably pick it up and use it.
Apparently, you can do that on the website. Most people, that's how most people do it. They don't even use the email. They just go to the website and just start yelling at us.
There's a forum there. You can, Mm-hmm. Yep, that
Which
works
is
too.
Cool.
We'll take that.
Definitely do that.
Yep. It's very anonymous that way, I feel.
True. You get to put in whatever email address you want.
Mm-hmm.
Do with that information what you will, or don't.
Yep. And so, hey, we
could get weird.
We don't care where you come from. We'll take your suggestions and feedback. Speaking of feedback and whatnot, that's what's going to happen our next show. We're going to do some feedback.
Get it in. Tell us what you want to tell us so that we can have another episode where we don't get to talk about anything except for feedback. That was kind of fun.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed.
We sometimes slip a couple other things in there that are some topics.
You can't forget the Mozilla Watch.
When they do great things, we definitely want to highlight. Hey, when they do silly things, we highlight that too. But that's good stuff. And all the other browsers, because they're pretty important. Definitely doesn't matter what desktop you're on. Probably running a web browser.
I hear Chromium 109 fixed the scrolling thing that I've been complaining about for like 6 years.
Really?
I think so. I've heard reports. I've not used it myself, but I have heard tell they fixed it.
That's impressive, Leo.
But I'll probably by the next episode. That might be part of the browser watch, speaking of. So,
could be.
Strap in for that one.
Hey, the other thing that we need to do is announce our next distro.
No, we don't do that. We don't do that here.
We don't do that here. We always do that here. We do that every
No, we
month.
don't. What is a distro? I don't even know.
Ooh, this next one's a big one. It's a really, really big one. And Leo, he arm wrestled me again and won, of course.
Rebecca Black.
Nope, that wasn't it. Nope. That's a pretty neat Wayland distro, if you feel like
it is.
Yeah.
Keeping up with the times even.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
They got a new release even. But anyway. No, the one we're doing is really old. Well, not really old, but older.
Depending on where you measure from, and
That's
I'm going to have to, do some soul searching to decide where this needs to start, because
otherwise it could be a 4-hour episode.
Again,
yeah. So it's a big one. It's CentOS. We're going to do CentOS Stream 9. That's what we're going to do.
Yes. What did we say? CentOS 9 was released in December? Is that what I said?
Yeah.
Something like that. So it's about on time.
Recent. Yeah, it's a month ago, so that's not too bad.
We do these things a month at a time, so time is slow on this show.
Yeah,
so you gotta...
and I don't know, it's sort of a slow-ish moving thing. Like the Rel 9 is going to be going for a while before they get a new one out there. So we've thought
Do I just do the subscription and get Rel 9? Like how interesting would that be?
You can if you want, but I want to do the CentOS stream though. I think that's a pretty important distinction.
Okay, we'll do Rel another day.
But we did allow the caveat that we could allow the EPEL repository, which is I guess akin to RPM Fusion, not really, but like it gets you some newer packaging, for things.
Can you even bring RPM Fusion into CentOS?
I don't know. That might be a thing that we could attempt to break our systems with.
I probably will.
I think they're. I don't know. I'm trying to
remember.
I don't remember, man. Honestly, I don't remember.
I'm gonna need a TLP. So
Well,
we gotta.
Apple is important if you need a newer kernel. That's where I'm going with that, because those are enterprise packaging things, like things you need on the enterprise level, if you will, but newer.
So if there's a safe boot thing, I might be able to get it on the framework, but 5.14, I believe, is what kernel it ships with out of the box. Is not on the up and up with the framework. I think you need 5.15 at least for that. But I mean, hey, what would happen if I just loaded it up? I guess we'll see. We'll find out. We got a month to figure this out.
I don't know. It'd be interesting. So we're gonna test it. We're gonna test all the things. We may find ourselves looking for some extra avenues to get our software, potentially.
Flatpak.
But we may not. I don't know. And the other thing is, like, you got Podman. I don't know. Maybe we want to mess around with that rather than Docker, because we do a lot of Docker stuff. Maybe.
You know what? Yeah, but no. Podman would be on the table. Because totally it is a very RHEL thing to do.
Exactly.
Very Fedora thing to do. So, okay. So y'all tell me. Here's the thing. All right. So here's what if you're astute enough or a big enough fan, or you fell asleep and you woke up right now during the podcast.
I'm sorry, it's the end, but yeah.
Is Flatpak okay? Or should we just go? Should we just go Apple and just leave it at that? And then, but if Flatpak's not okay, then Podman's got to be okay. Docker's got to be okay. Right?
I think we got to try all the things.
Question mark? Okay. All right. But
we got to see where it breaks.
So if it's a hard no, and we get a bunch of feedback one way or the other, we might have to just be like,
yeah, maybe I need multiple installs.
Oh, that's the solution. That's how we do it.
But yeah, okay. I want to see where the breakdown happens.
Can it be used as a daily driver
desktop,
and not just as like a DaVinci Resolve workstation?
Right.
Can it be done? We'll find out.
We're going to try.
So stay tuned and tell us all the things, especially about whether or not Flatpak is cool on Reddit, Twitter, Mastodon, Telegram, Matrix, Discord, whatever. I don't know, play the game, linuxuserspace.show/fill in the blank. And you got to let us know about that too. If you fill in the blank and it's not there, we got to fix that, either as a joke or for real. But it should redirect somewhere, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But however you do it, join the conversation. All the links will be in the show notes and, of course, on linuxuserspace.show. So, where can we find you outside of here, Dan?
You can find me at KC2BEZ, at mastodon.social, or at KC2BEZ on Twitter.
And you can find me at Leo Chavez at mastodon.social or at Leo Chavez on the old tweeters. So come back in 2 weeks for more Linux User Space 2. Man, we're gonna find out. We gotta talk about it. CentOS has always worked pretty trash in VirtualBox. So, but it's always worked really, really well on hardware, though. So that's not to say. I'm sure VirtualBox could have done a couple things to make it a little bit better, because in VMware it always worked very well.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So, you know what I hate about VMware is that it's like, I know exactly how you want me to install this VM. Let me pre-fill in all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
And then like you go through the process without knowing what you're doing. You just kind of nexting through it. And the network's not configured.
The network, yes, the network is always the thing.
Get out of here.
Right.
Network, dude.
Yep.
It's over here like Dan opening up the laptop and not having network, and Windows just being like, what's normal, man?
It's a VM. Why would you need network?
No,
you're going to do everything from the console.
If I wanted something that I would throw away in about 30 minutes, I would have installed Docker.
Yeah.